you might say perlocutionary act is the characteristic aim of elocutionary act. So assertion, for instance, is an elocutionary act. つまり assert 主張するということは elocutionary act ですが、主張することの、キャラクタリスティックな目的っていうのは相手を説得するためであったりするわけですが、その説得するということは perlocutionary act になるわけですね。Okay, so that's important. If you don't get this, it's going to be hard to understand the rest. But I hope there's no questions so far.
Just for clarification, could you give us more example the difference between in saying and of saying?
Right, okay. So let's see. Consider the sentence. Let's see. I promise you to give back your money tomorrow. Okay? So that's an act of saying something, right? Act of saying something, because I said that sentence. But in saying that sentence, what am I doing? I wasn't just making that statement. I was also promising, right? So in such cases, we say that I was making a promise in saying that, right?
So are there the same kind of the two different perspectives toward the same thing, or so it's kind of just difference in interpretations of the same act.
Right, the object is the same, right? The object of
right,
the sentence is the same,
right?
But right, so you might say that. Two interpretations. I don't like the word interpretation, but you could say that.
Sorry, I'm not very strict.
That's fine. Of course, you don't have to say anything to make a promise, right? So I could ask someone, お金返してくれって約束する? Okay, and I do this. Then you will take this as my making promise. You don't have to say anything in a vocal sense to have to do an elocutionary act, right? Okay. Any other question? All right. So and Austin's interested in elocutionary act, the middle thing. Elocutionary act is, somewhat. Austin thinks this belongs to semantics. Semantics. And Austin is interested in pragmatics, right? So elocution goes here. And perlocution is, he is not interested in perlocution for the reasons that I will discuss shortly. Okay? But in any case, Austin's position is something called force conventionalism. And what that is on your handout. Force conventionalism, the thesis of force conventionalism is that for every speech act or elocutionary act that is performed, there is some convention that will have been invoked in order to make that speech act occur. So according to Austin, performing speech act is acting in accordance to some convention. Okay, that's force conventionalism. That's the position I will reject. This position is very incorrect, and I will reject this. But Austin tries to establish his position by comparing locution and elocution, and then comparing elocution and perlocution. So he tries to single out what this is by comparing this with the other two. Okay? So that's we will cover in chapter 1, at least the first, the majority part of chapter 1. So that's section 1.1, I think. Okay? I'm going to move on to section 1.2. Okay? So first, Austin compares locution and elocution. Right? Austin says, this is on page 6 of my paper, if you have this. One of the things Austin says about the relationship between locution and elocution, or locutionary act, and the elocutionary act is this. This is the bottom paragraph. While Austin does not present an argument against constructing a chain of consequences connecting locution and elocution, he does present an argument for why it is incorrect to think that an elocutionary act is a consequence of a locutionary act. Okay? He says the uttering of noises may be a consequence, physical, of the movement of the vocal organs, the breath, etc. But the uttering of a word is not the consequence of uttering a noise, whether physical or otherwise. Nor is the uttering of words with a certain meaning a consequence of uttering the words, whether physical or otherwise. Austin would continue this argument, and claims that uttering of words with certain force, that is performance of an elocution act, is not a consequence of uttering of words with a certain meaning. Okay? Let me clarify this. So Austin says this. Okay, so here's a locution. John is a dog. That's a bad sentence, but let's use it. So John is a dog is a sound, right? But as a sentence, this has a meaning, right? But dog, so for instance, dog means that animal. Dog っていうのは犬っていう意味です。で、ジョンっていうのはジョンっていう人。で、イズにもアニマル、そういう辞書で弾けるような意味があるんですね。でもなぜこれらの言葉、そしてこのセンテンス全体にこのジョンは犬ですっていう意味があるかっていうと、それはジョンっていう音だとか、この形だとかのコンセクエンスではないわけですね。つまり、ジョンっていう人を指すのに、まあ、ヨハネスでもいいし、ね、こうでもいいわけですね。こうでもいい。別に違う音や違う形を使っても同じ意味を持たすことができているわけですね。で、ドッグっていうのが、フランス語で言うとシアンでもいいし、まあ、何でもいいわけですよ。つまり、この音があるから、この音だからこの意味だっていうコンセクエンスな関係にはなってないわけですね。ということをオースティンは言ってるわけです。で、ところで、ジョン・イズ・ドッグっていうのを使って何かイロケーションにアクトをすることができるわけですね。例えば僕の、そうだな、僕の弟がそのジョンっていう犬に数学を教えるとするときに、僕がジョン